Hope you're having a good day. So I'm going to share a lesson I learned about my Brazilian rain tree this winter. I don't think it's a terrible lesson, but one I'm just kind of glad I learned, and I think I'll overcome it. I got this wire on here. I pruned this, and I got this wire on this tree. This is grown from a cutting. All my trees, except for all of my rain trees, except for the Cascade, are actually grown from a cutting. But I pruned it in October, and I got the wire on it. And basically, it's kind of looked like this ever since. The leaves open, the leaves close. But it hasn't been getting, any kind of shoots or anything off of it like a rain tree would. If you have any, if you have these, they will get, really unruly growth during the growing season. So I thought, well, good, I'll just let the wire set in while it's dormant. And then just the other day, I saw some bud swelling, and I'll try to give you a good little picture of one of those here in just a second. All right, you can see that guy there, little bud coming out there. And there's another one there. Just all over the tree, so I kind of took a look at it, and the next thing I knew, I saw just how bad some of that wire is biting in. So I never would have thought that a rain tree would be growing like that if in fact it was just sitting here looking green and healthy without getting all that new growth growing on there. But sure enough, it grew quite a bit over the winter. And let's see here, got more branches on that side. But you can see there just how much it went in. It's almost completely embedded there. All right, and taking a look at some of that wire bite there. This is on the side of the tree that I've always kind of considered the front. I've only really had this cutting for like a year and a half. It was actually, this wasn't really, I broke it off of a stump of another cutting that I had. So it did start off pretty mature right off the bat there. All right, and all in all, really, no harm, no foul. I think it'll turn out just fine. I had it kind of all growing upwards like a rain tree would be, and then rather than continuing to do that to thicken the trunk out, I figured I'd go ahead and pull down some of this. And then I picked a leader. I pruned off a couple other leaders, but I just picked one. And it's not all that easy to see on camera, but I do have quite a bit of movement going on in that leader now. And the hope is maybe this spring, not only most of the bud swell I do see is down here, not all that much up here, but it pushes some growth up there and hopefully get some more branches in there. And then I can have some movement along the trunk line. Alright, that first part of the video was February 1st. Here we are, March 19th. You can see it's still got a little bit of the wire bite left, especially for some reason on the apex. I wasn't expecting so much of it to be left on the apex, but you can also see it didn't affect the health of the tree whatsoever. I usually do wait for the branches to harden off a little more than they are now to put any more wire on them. I've noticed several branches coming out in some really inconvenient spots. So I'm going to go ahead and prune them, and then the tree can kind of put some more energy into the branches I plan on keeping. Right here, wouldn't have minded keeping another, I don't know, a branch that would have come straight off that way, but it came off and then just for some reason went straight up. I don't know why that happened there. Maybe that's why it hasn't had a huge amount of growth into the apex. It was like trying to put so much energy into this branch here. Wasn't putting any energy towards the apex. And then this one is coming straight up off of this branch here. This one I'm going to try to keep. I think I'm going to try to wire that down. Like I said, when that does harden off a little bit. This is getting a little long here. But before I prune it, or when I do go to prune it, I am going to wire it as well. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and take the one branch that was coming straight up off there This is the branch that had the one coming straight up off of it. I think I can get some wire. Actually, that one's coming straight up off of it too. I didn't really mind the direction it was going, but I want the bud coming straight up off the branch like that. And then this one is growing into this other, it's actually still the same branch, but kind of growing into itself. So I'm going to take that out. And for now, I think the rest of it looks good. I'll just let that grow out a few more months. When I got my first rain tree, because of the thorns, I had myself convinced I was going to make them all clip and grow, but once I kind of learned their growth habit, it really is, I don't know, they get such long shoots, and I feel like if you don't get some wire on it, you try to clip it back. I don't know, I do have a couple that I'm trying to stick with some clip and grow, but we'll see. I think it does work out much better if you use some wire. Alright, and then I just brought this guy in here basically for two purposes. First one is just to kind of show off the fact that it's blooming. See those blooms out on the end there? I'll take some pictures and kind of include a few of those too. But I did, this is actually, let me see if I can get a better look here. I don't tie in all my trees, and sometimes I tie them in a little bit higher so I can go ahead and pull it off when I notice that they got root bound. I was not really truly expecting the sacrifice branch to get this big, and you can see it has been, you know, pulling the tree over that way, but then it has a lot more to do with not even the fact that I had it tied in. This branch was trying to come, once it started really gaining some energy, it was trying to grow right straight up through the tree. And of course I wanted to, you know, keep pruning the rest of the tree and, you know, watching the shape of it and everything. And this was coming right up straight through there. So I actually have it kind of rigged outside there. I have a little, it's a tire rack is what I think it is. And I've kind of been pulling it down like that, and it's just been steadily pulling the tree down further and further. It also, I think it's been helping it just kind of keep it in place there, keeping it from blowing over altogether. I would like to leave it on until the next repot, and I do plan on, I mean, I say repotting it this year. If I do, it'll be much later in the year. The next one I'm going to bring in here in a minute, I'm going to repot, has been well over 2 years. And this training pot's even a little bit bigger than that one's in. Of course, this one's also, because of the sacrifice branch, going to get quite a bit bigger, quite a bit quicker. And that's holding it up there a little bit closer to how I want it. And actually now I can feel the roots in there. They're really not, it's not ready for a repot. It hasn't fully colonized the pot just yet. And we'll see how that goes. Like I said, whenever I repot it, I would plan on cutting that off. I might take several cuttings from it. Kind of feeling almost at this point like I have enough of these guys. I wasn't planning on doing too much pruning today. I did actually also, I had a guy wire on this. This one was also growing up into the tree, and I was also trying to use that guy wire to pull the tree a little straight too. But I see now it's got a secondary branch going the way I wanted to, so I'm going to take that one off. But when I do repot it and take this other one off, I think I'm going to leave this one on for a little while and just kind of let it, they're not on opposite side of the trunk, but just let it fatten up a different part of it. And then just see what this guy looks like. If you go back through the history of the videos, this was actually a failed air layer. I mean, I thought it was a failed air layer. You can see a little bit of dead wood right there. And that was the original, like say, canopy. And then when I took the air layer off the tree, didn't have any roots, nothing on it. And I just threw it in some topsoil. And eventually it started getting some of these sprouts all around here. And since I figured, you know, it would keep that size of the trunk, which now it's probably 4 or 5 times the size it was at the time. But it was a decent sized cutting. And sure enough, you know, turned out to be worth saving. So, and then this is the one I plan on repotting today. Honestly, some of the reason I even keep my YouTube channel is to kind of keep it for some record keeping. And I had the idea, I kind of felt like I haven't repotted some of my rain trees for a while, and these things really do fill up a pot quick. I went back and looked, and I do believe all the rest of them were repotted at some point last year. Last, repotting season for tropicals, which would have been sometime in the summer, except for this one. And then I actually even think it might have been a little bit longer than 2 years since it's been repotted by the time I found it. And it's got a ton of buds, but the buds showed up on this one the same time a lot of the other trees did, but it just really hasn't taken off like they have. And I've got the idea, I mean, it's still partially kind of wired in there, but I do have the idea that it's good and root bound. So I'm going to go ahead and repot it today. Not going to prune much because it does have so many buds, but here it's got, actually you guys might be able to see that a little bit better. This branch is kind of drifting up some, but it's got a hardened off piece that's especially going straight up. And then it's got a new shoot coming out a little more, at least in line with the rest of the branch and not going up like that. So I'm going to take that off. And then this is just a really small one that is growing back towards the tree some. I don't want that. And then since I would like to have it use a little less water right after repotting, I am going to go ahead and prune the apex back to like 1 node above the last time I did it. I guess I'll go about there. This one I'm going to go 1 node below just because there's already a new shoot right next to it. It's already tall enough too. Looks like the last time I chopped this one, it was way back there. And, try to pay attention to the health of the tree, but also trying to keep it somewhat symmetric too. Alright, I'm going to get set up to repot it. Alright, kind of curious what I'm going to see. I'm either going to put it right back into this pot, or I have a bowl pan that's about the same size. It's a little bit deeper. Not quite as wide this way, but obviously a lot wider that way. Thing is, the way I have the wingspan on it, it's got a, definite front and a back, the way you'd kind of show it and everything. But either way, I'm not trying to get in a show pot. I have seen, whenever I do start putting some of these in show pots, I've seen people ask, how shallow of a pot can you put a rain tree in? And the answer was, how many times can you water a day? And my answer there really is once. I mean, when, on the weekends or when I'm off, like this week or something like that, I mean, I could water as many times a day as I want, but when I work, I leave in the dark. Can't go out and water in the dark and then, come home and get them watered once before dark. So, thinking I had this one wired in the pot with the wire coming up here where I could see it, and just cut that off. But I did not take, I don't know why I'm worried about spilling some substrate. I'm going to repot it. I did not take these bottom wires off. So I'm going to clip them right there. Hopefully the tree doesn't fall out of my hands when I do this. And then if for any reason they still are tied in up top there, that should release it when I pull it out. Alright. And there we go. As always with these rain trees, nice white roots. I say as always with these rain trees, with the good substrate in there. Just nice white roots, almost perfectly in shape of the pot. Now that I think about it, it's been 2 years since the repot. You know that this thing also made it through the hurricane in this soil here, and I do believe it's potted up a little bit higher than I would have liked to had it. That would be one reason to get it in the bowl pan. And working from the top down a little first. And in the words of Borat, very nice, very nice. Now let's see, if I put it back in the same pot. Try to make it much deeper. I won't really have much room for substrate up underneath of it. Where if I use this one instead, yeah, that'll give me a few inches of substrate under there, and I can go ahead and bury it a little bit deeper. Alright, so I don't know if you guys heard Megadeth or not, but that was in the other room there. It's my phone ringing, it's my ringtone. Got distracted for a second. Decided to go with the deeper pot so I can kind of bring the substrate up a little more. I do kind of remember now that in that shallow pot there, it was blown out of that in the hurricane, and I kind of had to get it back in there, and a lot of the substrate will blow off the top as well. So I'm just going to try to bring the level up to about here and let this thing just kind of grow like that for a bit. Get some substrate in the bottom here. A little bit thicker wire to tie it in with this time. Put some substrate in there. Alright, that should work. I do like to leave a little bit of the wire showing. One of my worries when I first started the hobby was, as quick as tropicals grow, that it would grow and kind of cut into the root ball. But when I can keep an eye on it like that, probably within about 6 months, towards the end of this summer, I can check it, and if it's plenty pot bound, just go ahead and cut that off. But serving its purpose for now. Really is too bad when I get these things indoors. I gotta try to get a finished look at what I did for the day, and it looks so sad, and now it's had its roots cut and everything, so these leaves are just resting, so it really doesn't look all that good now, but I'll get it in the shade for a couple days and it should look great in a little while.